Mr. Anuj Khanna is joining us. Anuj, good to have you with us. So first, let's also talk about, a fantastic growth that you've seen at the company, as Varun just outlined. Wanted to kick off with the fact that, Amazon is your largest customer. How much have they contributed to your overall growth, and how much have they, also grown as a customer in recent times?
Well, thank you for having me with you. Yes, that is correct that e-commerce as a broad-based segment is a significant customer segment for us, and we are working with multiple top players in this area as well. And if you talk particularly about Amazon, I think they are clearly a leading force globally, but particularly in India also they are doing extremely well, not just in e-commerce but also in OTT entertainment and several other verticals that they are increasingly getting into. Our goal over there is more strategic. How do we build greater, deeper connects for our customers? And as Indian internet adoption goes from tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities to even rural India, how could we be a strategic partner as a fundamentally very strong Indian company in taking our customers as our partners deeper into the Indian diaspora and getting them success on a broad basis, not just online but also looking at how offline conversions can be driven through the power of the mobile device. Because as you already know, consumers are not only using the mobile device to transact online but also making significant decisions on what they are actually doing in offline retail presence. And we do believe, if you look at the global trends, that most of the online first companies are now increasingly trying to build their own offline presence as well, because the consumer journey has to be mapped not just online but also offline in terms of what happens there. So we have seen a broad-based growth. From a strategic point of view, we think that Amazon will continue to be a market leader, and so would Apple be a market leader in India in particular. So we do see great prospects going forward.
So is there any risk of a downtick in the Amazon business? Do you ever see that as a threat? I guess what I'm also trying to ask is whether or not there's a dependency there, or whether you have a diverse enough customer base.
Well, we have a diverse enough customer base, and I think the strength of our company lies in our technology stack, in our business model, in the kind of data intel that our data science algorithms are able to produce. And I think that's broadly applicable across multiple industry segments. So I think if you look at our customer concentration, the top 10 customers, I think in this quarter, it's in our investment presentation as well, it's less than 50% from the top 10. So the broad-based growth, not just from a large base of customers, but also across India and international geographies, is actually quite a risk-managed position. So as the founder of the company, I take a lot of confidence in the broad-based business approach that we have. We are very strong in India, but with a broad customer base across different industry verticals. We are not just in India, where 50% of the business is outside India. There again, we have a fairly broad-based customer base. So there is no particular risk that I'm exceptionally worried about. But yes, it is important to make sure that existing customers, we go deeper, more strategically with them, so that our moat in the business and defensibility grows, while we have a very, very strong proposition and a very strong sales team that will continue to get new customers onboarded.
Whom would you say is your nearest competitor?
Well, in terms of competition, there are several players in the market who are offering different kinds of propositions. I wouldn't name any one particular one, but in terms of let's say there are new entrants who are trying to do this business on particularly on mobile. There are international players, particularly players from China, who are trying to enter the India market, not so successfully so far. But India is a fairly attractive market and a very difficult landscape for foreign companies to enter, whether they are from US, Japan, or coming in from China. And I think they've had a tough time here. When you look at the larger players, because most of the time when people talk about competition, they start worrying about Google and Facebook, and in our space, we see them as our partner. We are in fact partners with them, and when we look for consumer conversions for our advertisers, we are agnostic to where we are placing those ads for our advertisers. So we also place ads on Google properties, we also place ads on Facebook, and we are partners with them, we are integrated with them. So we don't see ourselves being a direct head-on competitor with any of these big players. We in fact see it as a symbiotic growth relationship. And for the other players in the market, I think our moat, particularly in India, as well as in other emerging geographies, it is very substantial, and I think we'll be able to defend competition on a sustainable basis going forward as well.
Doing to increase your moat then? Every company's biggest nightmare is that, at least in your business terminology, it would be a startup starts from a garage, does something different, and then you start losing business, right? I mean, that's a nightmare for all advertising companies on mobile and on internet. How are you preventing the 20-year-olds not eating into your business?
Let me give you a quick snapshot of Affle. I started Affle when I was a 27-year-old. And today, this year, in a couple of months, Affle would have completed over 15 years of its business since inception. And when I started the company, the iPhone and iPhone and Android were not even launched, and Nokia and BlackBerry were considered very cool at that time. And these companies have practically gone out of business, whereas Affle is, consistently rising. So our track record historically over 15 years as a team has been that we have always stayed ahead of the technology disruptions. We are constantly doing R&D investments to refresh our products and services. If you look at the last 3 years track record, Affle has consistently been winning in the industry recognition of being the best technology platform, best technology enabler, using programmatic capabilities as well. And we're consistently winning gold industry awards, against all kinds of competitors who are all aspiring to, achieve similar recognition. So I think we stay ahead of the curve by consistently investing in enhancing our products proactively. So if you see from the time when our prospectus was out to now, we have expanded our strategy not just to mobile devices, but broadly connected devices. Because consumers, all of us will increasingly over the next 5 years have many more connected devices, whether they are wearables, whether they are our cars, our home automation, our connected TVs. So expanding that scope has been a forward-looking direction that the company has already taken, and we're investing in data and intel to back that. So that is one broad-based strategy. The other is going deeper to connect the consumer's journeys both online as well as offline. So we have launched an omni-channel product platform, which I think addresses that really well. And we are also going deeper within India in particular, where we are looking at vernacular affinity. Because if you want to do well in India over the long term, one has to be mindful that the next 300 to 400 million connected consumers on smartphones and other devices will have vernacular affinities. They may not necessarily be, looking at English as their primary approach on the internet. So I think those are the areas which will continue to enhance our moat as we go along.
Is Google a complementary partner, or it's a monster which is going to eat you? I've seen best of the companies which were in business were rooted out of business when Google decided to be in that business.
Well, I would say Amazon is a much bigger monster, and if we partner with the right players in the market, I think we will stand taller. But having said that, I mean Amazon as a monster for other ecosystems and industries. They are so dominant, whichever market they get into, they win. So I would say Google has enough of its battles to fight with Amazon, not with us. And we in particular see ourselves as a very nimble-footed, complementing partner for most of these players. We find positions which work to our strengths. We are not talking about let's go after Google. We see it as a complementary relationship at the moment, and we will keep watching it closely. I mean, situations change along the way, but I am not sitting here worried about Google today. I think 5-6 years ago, one could have been a lot more threatened by a Google or a Facebook. At the moment, I feel that the industry has found a balance. It has found a balance where we are seeing the total advertising pie. Of course, Google and Facebook take a big chunk of it, but they are today fighting Amazon to protect their pie. And the pie which is non-Google Facebook or non-Google Facebook Amazon is actually growing at least at par with the way they are growing, if not faster. So I think overall, we are in a fairly comfortable position, even if we were to look at it, our business as a non-Google Facebook pie. But if you see Affle's business, it actually runs across the overall business. We give the advertisers the opportunity to use our platform to drive conversions across the board, whether using Google as a source of impressions or inventory, or Facebook as a source of impressions and inventory. So I'm today saying it is a complementary existence, and we are playing on the overall pie buy in a strategic way, but going forward, who knows? But we are ready to face whatever comes forward.
Giving your stock a high P multiple because your business is growing and you're in the right space. For those who are worried about the elevated P multiple, what would you say? You'll surprise them with growth.
See, I know my business really well. I am a computer engineer. I, don't really look at valuations and these PE multiples. But I can tell you what I asked my investors. I said, I worked for 14 years and you gave us a certain valuation at the IPO. Within 5 months of the IPO, you have given us a different valuation. So I was also curious like you are, and I asked them why. And the simple answer I got from some of the top global investors was that at the time of the IPO, they only valued us on what they call PE multiple, but now they are looking at PE growth ratio and PE growth multiple. So the message that I have got is that Affle has to focus on fundamentals, and our fundamentals are strong. Whether the economy is going through a rough patch or not, I have to focus on making sure that we are delivering consistent, profitable, sustainable growth for our business. And if we keep doing and keep focusing on that across the board in India, in other emerging geographies, Southeast Asia, Middle East, Africa, and now we are starting to enter into LATAM as well. So when you look at these emerging geographies, these are fundamentally growth geographies. So if Affle continues to play its game right, just by the average industry growth in these markets, we should anyways be growing around 25% year-on-year CAGR over the next 5 years. And if we do better than that, then of course we should be growing faster. So my message is very clear. If any investor is thinking about our company, they should model it for 5 years. Model it at minimum 25% revenue CAGR growth, because not because you think that Affle alone will achieve that kind of growth. Our historical trends certainly substantiate that we can grow over 30%, but because the industry and the markets we are focused on are all growth markets. So since my market and emerging markets are growing that way, Affle has a very strong case for continuing to grow over the next 5 years. So the investors should take a long-term view and base it on the fundamentals of the company.
So nice to connect with you. I wish you all the best. It's the first time I've interacted with you personally on this forum. So it was lovely interacted with you, and I look forward to meet you in person. Maybe over a cup of coffee and freewheeling chat.
Absolutely. I look forward to that. Thank you for having me over.